Alright, guys, this is my personal Transformers tier list. I already have the 5 that I have not watched here: Rescue Bots, Rescue Bots Academy, Titans Return, Power of the Primes, and Combiner Wars. Um, and then I believe out of all the rest that were like dubbed and sent over to America, I've seen them all. Um, so we're going to rank them. Starting off with E for Energon. Before we even get started, let me just say that like I enjoy all of these shows in some way. Um, it's still Transformers, and I still like them a lot. So this is in ranking in terms of retrospect of how I enjoyed them compared to each other. Okay, E for Energon. I didn't put it in F because while the show's animation isn't exactly my favorite, and some of the characters are a bit annoying at times, and they do kind of ignore Armada's plot completely when it comes to continuity. If you get that continuity piece kind of out of your head, Energon does have some cool themes, some cool ideas. The Power Links is kind of neat. It's a unique look for Optimus, even if it's a bit too kind of bulky. But overall, I think it's a really, fun show at times. It drags. It does drag, but it has its moments. Like a lot of these shows, that'll have their moments. Definitely the weakest of the Unicron trilogy, spoiler alert, but still a fun show nonetheless. E for Energon. Okay. Let's knock out the War for Cybertron trilogy. When I think War for Cybertron, I think of the masterpiece that was the video game, not this trilogy. However, I am throwing Siege a bone and putting it in C tier because I know the voice acting necessarily isn't the best, or so much the voice direction isn't the best. I'm sure the actors are perfectly talented. That's usually how that goes. And I know that people, myself included, I would have much rather seen legacy voice actors in there. And I think it would have dramatically improved the quality of the show. However, I do like the darker tone a lot, and I think if the plot had been more coherent, if some of the ideas had been better fleshed out, this could have been near the top of my tier list. But unfortunately, it did sort of drag its feet at times, and it couldn't quite figure out what it was doing. But I do believe it is the best of the War for Cybertron trilogy, and I fully believe Kingdom is the worst. I'm putting Kingdom in F tier. Look, again, this is cool. It was cool seeing the Beast Wars characters and everything, but they just didn't really feel like themselves, and it kind of felt forced. I didn't really like the whole, Galvatron and Nemesis Prime, and then sort of, Megatron, teaming up with Optimus. It was some cool concepts. It just didn't really land right. I felt like this is where the trilogy really started to falter. And Earthrise kind of was in the middle. I think they got worse over time, right? And so the second one, where is Earthrise? Here it is going to go in E tier with Energon. And I feel like that's the most fair place that I can put it based on my enjoyment of it. I would probably watch this trilogy one more time maybe, but it's not very rewatchable. And again, I like Siege, but I don't like Earthrise and Kingdom as much. Thanks for the toy lines, I guess. We got some great toys out of it, but, these just weren't quite it for me. That's all. Okay. Let's hit a big one here. Let's get a big one. Beast Wars. A tier. Yes. That's right. We're putting Beast Wars in the A tier. Not quite S, because I don't have as much of an attachment to the Beast characters as some of the other Transformers fans do. However, I recognize how revolutionary this show was at the time. And despite a few goofy episodes in Season 1, the overarching plot is really great. Dinobot's arc is amazing. The whole arc with the alien invasion thing kind of was really interesting. The Golden Disc. There were a lot of arcs in this series that were really quite interesting, and it all felt very connected. The main Maximal Squad also felt a lot like family, and they were really, really fun to watch interact. Beast Wars had a great concept. It executed on that concept. This is definitely among the giants, and some of the best Transformers content we've ever gotten. So, absolutely. Can't sing Beast Wars praises enough. But as for Beast Machines, that's going to go in E tier as well. Okay. Look, I like the dark concept here. I wish that they would totally knock the dark concept out of the park in one of these shows. But the thing with Beast Machines is, it is not nearly as strong as Beast Wars. And I don't know what happened, why the designs changed the way they did, but every character looks worse than before. Much worse, even. I would say that the Beast Machines designs are up there with some of my least favorite designs in the history of the series. They are not pleasing to look at, in my opinion, which is a big part of Transformers. Like, we want to see those designs. We want to see those as toys. And I don't know. The Beast Machines stuff just wasn't very appealing looking. I thought the concept of Megatron beating them back to Cybertron and sort of almost like genociding the population was a really crazy concept and very interesting how, Megatron's drones and everything. But it ended up leading that many of the villains didn't have a lot of personality. And again, the Maximal Squad took a major downgrade. This was a neat enough show. It's a fun one-time watch. Not very rewatchable for me, though. And that's kind of a big factor here as to why it's going to go in E tier. I feel very similar about Energon as I do Beast Machines. It's like kind of cool. I see what they were doing, neat concept, but not quite what I was looking for. All right, Transformers Cybertron. Our worlds are in danger. Yeah, that's right, all the way up to B tier for Cybertron. I really like this show. I remember watching this quite a bit as a kid, and the animation jarring at first, but is quite cool and unique. It definitely stands out as its own. Some of the most awesome fight scenes in this series, though, we still remember. Trickery? No, Galvatron, just your downfall. Some really awesome moments with some very anime, sort of fights between these characters in Cybertron. And look, this show has a lot of charm. Scottish Metroplex and the craziness that was the different planets for the Cyber Planet keys and the black hole plot. And look, the intro is just wild. The Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. All that mixed in with our worlds are in danger. We must find the 4 Cyber Planet keys. Basically, this show goes all the way to B tier, not necessarily for its superb quality, but for its fun factor. It's just fun to watch. Fun to watch with friends, too. You can kind of laugh at the craziness. And a good way to close out the Energon trilogy. Or not the Energon trilogy, the Unicron trilogy. And speaking of the Unicron trilogy, here's another letter matcher. That's right. Armada, the first of the 3, is the best of the 3, and I'm putting it all the way up in A tier with Beast Wars. That's right. I am a big Armada fan. I absolutely love Transformers Armada. It's one of my favorite Transformers shows. The designs are amazing. I felt like the animation had some real, sort of older anime style to it that I really, really liked. And despite some of the errors with the dub, I still feel like it was a really good show overall. And also, like, the show really starts picking up towards the middle to the end, where we get Starscream's redemption arc with the humans. The human characters are utilized really well in that way. And then we also get, the final battle between Prime and Galvatron is really amazing. I felt like it was a really good use of Unicron as well. You really felt like he was very threatening. And a simple concept, just the mini-cons, but a cool one. Something that, kind of drove this version of Transformers forward was the pursuit of those mini-cons. And, it worked enough for the concept of the show. I gotta say, I really liked it. It's up there among the giants for me. Okay. Next. Transformers Cyberverse. for me, this is going right there in D tier. You know, I think Cyberverse has some great concepts, and I, for the record, think that Grimlock is the standout of the show. I really like this version of Grimlock. What they did with the two personalities was really interesting. And Ryan Andes, who I actually have an interview with on this channel, more so about his work in the video game Battlegrounds, which is the Cyberverse tie-in game, but also the show. Very interesting to talk to. Great guy. And Grimlock is amazing in this show. Not everyone can I say the same thing. I don't like some of the characterizations as much. But Cyberverse is a fun watch. I don't think it's a bad show at all. Just one that I wouldn't put up, near the top or even in C tier because it, at times it kind of loses me. It's a bit too goofy at times, I would say. But it's good. Also, they were following up an era of like more high budget Transformers shows with this. So, back's kind of against the wall in that way. But I don't have anything against Cyberverse. It's a fine show. Transformers, Robots in Disguise, the 2015 or whatever one it was, the newer one. Bang. Right dab smack in F tier for me. The fact that this is a sequel to Prime still blows my mind, and I try not to think about it. I try to just get that out of my mind because it just doesn't work as a sequel to Prime at all. As its own thing, it's a little bit better, but still a bit flawed. Optimus lost kind of all his character development here and was used in such a strange way, completely mitigating his sacrifice at the end of Predacons Rising. But again, as its own thing, it has its moments, I suppose. Don't like the designs here at all. Grimlock, Sideswipe, they kind of look really just not quite what I would have went for. So this one's just near the bottom for me. I mean, probably I dislike it more than I dislike Kingdom. I'd watch it if it was on, but I'm not going to intentionally turn it on, so to speak. That's what I'll say about that. Okay. We have 4 shows that I've watched left. So like I said, these sort of Japanese exclusive ones I unfortunately haven't checked out. I'm going to get around to that now that I'm heavily back into Transformers. So comment down below which one you think I should watch first. I'm really leaning towards Beast Wars 2 because Leo Prime or Leo Convoy just looks amazing. But Robots in Disguise 2001. We just got the HasLab announcement for this guy. And for me, it's a solid B tier show right up there with Cybertron. Look, Robots in Disguise 01 is a lot of fun. Everybody loves Skybite, but I have to say that the Autobots are a lot of fun, like Towline. This is a really unique version of Optimus Prime, but it still feels like Optimus Prime. The fire engine, the super mode, and of course the iconic, which again, we now have the HasLab toy coming out, and I'm considering getting it. The handshake fusion with Ultra Magnus is such a cool moment. And, it's moments like that really make the show stand out. The designs are fantastic. It's good, silly fun at times, but it can also get serious when it needs to, and I like that. And plus, it's the only show, really, that pits the Autobots against the Predacons and Decepticons throughout the show, with the Predacons kind of being the main villains. And I felt like, oh my gosh, Megatron's design in this show is brilliant. I love Megatron and later Galvatron's design in this show. They look absolutely amazing. So for design points alone, even, I would put 01 high. And for the enjoyment factor, I'm putting it up to B tier. Definitely the better Robots in Disguise, or Car Robots as many know it. Now, Transformers Prime. I'm just kidding, it's not D tier for me. I don't care what y'all say. I am a Prime fan. I grew up watching this show. I absolutely loved it, and for me, it came out in the absolute pinnacle time to be a Transformers fan, which was right when the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron games were coming out. We had Dark of the Moon coming out, one of the better Michael Bay live-action movies. The hype was unreal. The toy aisles were covered, And to me, Transformers Prime delivers. Does it have its flaws? Of course it has its flaws. It had its production problems. It was a really expensive show to make, and because of that, some things had to be cut. However, when you look at what you've got some incredible fight scenes. I think some of the strongest human characters we've ever seen in a Transformers cartoon. The human cast is amazing, especially Agent Fowler, but also Jack, Miko, and Raph. They're great as well. And I felt like the designs were really good. It's one of my favorite looks for Optimus and probably my favorite look for RC, to be honest. But then also the Decepticon cast was incredible. Steve Blum's Starscream was nothing short of spectacular. We had Frank Welker back as Megatron and Peter Cullen back as Optimus Prime, which for a TV show was amazing to have the absolute legends back. And then we also had some great characters like Dreadwing and Knockout that everyone's going to remember for years to come. And look, when it comes to fight scenes, Prime's got you covered. That Season 1 Optimus versus Megatron finale with the Dark Energon volcano, that's peak. The Wreckers sort of Ultra Magnus and Wheeljack versus Predaking, that's a peak fight scene right there. There's more I could name. The Orion Pax becoming a Decepticon arc was really cool. I felt like you really felt sort of the darkness of the show at times and the grief that characters like RC went through as they lost Cliffjumper. And look, they set the tone right out of the gate for episode 1. They were like, we're not playing around. The Autobots and Decepticons are at war and anyone is vulnerable. And I thought that was really awesome. This show to me stands out. The animation's beautiful. I feel like it, is like animated quality, like something like Star Wars Clone Wars. Like, it's really that good to me. And it aged like fine wine. I love going back and watching this. I've rewatched it 3 or 4 times. The most rewatchable Transformers show, in my opinion. It's a lot of fun, and it's really strong narratively, in my opinion. The designs are great. I can't say enough good things about Transformers Prime. It's truly Prime. Oh, one more thing I can say, though. Best intro in the series. Absolutely. From the soundtrack by Brian Tyler, but also not only the soundtrack itself, but the way the intro is animated. Really well done. Love the intro. What can I say? This show is great. And its tie-in video game was too. Just like Armada. Okay. We have G1 and we have animated. Now, I saved these 2 big ones for last for a reason. Because they're both going to probably be controversial. So please don't hate me for this. This is a personal opinion, okay? You don't have to agree. Animated fans, don't hate me. But it's the bottom for me. It's my least favorite Transformers show that I've seen. That's right. It's bottom tier. Do I think, objectively, that animated is a worse show than these shows that I've put it above? No, absolutely not. Objectively, it probably is better than Siege, Cyberverse, Energon, Earthrise, Kingdom, and Robots in Disguise 2015, and probably Beast Machines 2. Okay? However, this is a personal enjoyment list, and I cannot stand animated. I think it is really hard for me to watch an episode of this. I do not like the designs of the characters at all. I think they look awful, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. If you love the animated designs, more power to you. That's the great thing about Transformers. Things change, and everybody has a different favorite. Everybody has different designs they like. But I just had to get that out there, as well as say that the number one reason that I would give this show more praise if it wasn't for Optimus Prime. I just don't understand his characterization in animated at all. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's kind of a different character. Look, I know, and I know Transformers have been known to do that. God knows how many different Wheeljacks we've gotten. But this is Optimus Prime. I feel like the Optimus Prime, to some degree, should be Optimus Prime, and he does not feel that way in this show at all. And since he is my favorite Autobot, along with Jazz, which, for the record, Jazz is actually pretty cool in the show. But this is just my least favorite version of him. He doesn't look right to me. I also feel like just his whole arc about being so much of a rookie, basically, and being disrespected by the High Council, and he's He's a Prime, but he's not the leader of the Autobots. He's nowhere near the leader of the Autobots. He like just works as like a average Joe, basically, with a band of rejects, which for some reason includes Bumblebee and Ratchet, which I thought would be more respected Autobots, like they usually are. But here we are. This is a unique show, absolutely, and I think that's why so many people like it. But it's just not for me. I can't jive with it at all. I've tried many, many times, and I've watched the whole show. But I don't know. I don't get it. I know we just had a tournament on Twitter with with the community where Animated just beat out Prime to move on to the finals to face G1. That blew my mind because I was like, wow, I think Prime is night and day better than Animated. I mean, I've got Prime at the top and Animated at the bottom, so that's how I feel about it. But just remember, it's my opinion, and I don't think you're like dumb or stupid or invalid for liking Animated. I totally see its merits. I'm just saying that its merits don't appeal to me, and its flaws really stand out to me. It's just definitely at the bottom for me. The absolute one that I would not watch. Again, gotta say. But again, personal taste. Please don't hate me. This is all in good fun. It's okay to like Animated, but I just don't. And ending with what began it all, Transformers Generation 1. Also belongs in S tier for me. Look, I know Season 3 is not as good. Season 2 has some goofy moments, for sure. But this is an 80s cartoon, and I think it does its job at being a toy commercial way better than it needed to. It did have absolute great moments, and remember, it's what started it all. I mean, this is the iconography that still lives to this day. Especially if you pair it with the movie. G1 has a lot of iconic moments. And to me, that first arc, Season 1 of More Than Meets the Eye, that was like really great pinnacle Transformers to me. Like, it's amazing. Love the cast. Love Jazz and Optimus's interactions as a fan of both characters. And, look, this isn't what started me on Transformers. My first experience was as a kid watching the live-action movies. But yet, going back and watching G1, I saw the value in it. I think the designs are some of the best ever, and that's why we see them rehashed so many times, which I know gets on some people's nerves, but they are really good. They're good designs. I just think it's iconic, it's fun, and it has its moments where it gets really deep. I mean, with how much Peter Cullen loves that hold on to your dream scene with Chip and Optimus, that's like, it just goes to show you how much it did mean to some of the people that were working on it. And with all the factors considered, the fact that it turned out so good is kind of mind-blowing and is really responsible for why Transformers persisted, and we're now celebrating the 40th anniversary of the series. And so, how could I not put Where It All Started in S tier, along with Prime? So yeah, that means my top 5 Transformers shows, or top 6, because I don't really know if I like RID or Cybertron better. The top 6, the B tier is Cybertron and RID 01. The A tier is Beast Wars and Armada. And the S tier is Prime and G1. Those are my 6 favorite. If I had to rewatch a Transformers show, those would be the 6 that I would choose from the most. I love all the toy lines for these 6, and I think that these shows are pretty incredible and they definitely have their moments. And those are my favorites. And you can see what my least favorites are. And that's okay. Your tier list might be wildly different from mine. Please comment down below and tell me how I'm wrong. Or tell me if you agree. Or tell me what you agree with and what I'm wrong about. All of the above. And when you do, consider subscribing, because we have a lot of Transformers gaming content on this channel. So if you ever wanted to know how to play War and Fall online again, or watch a playthrough of literally almost every single Transformers game ever, there's content here for you. And if you're a paid channel member of any tier, you can see my exclusive toy photo videos as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time... Oh, one more thing. The new G1-inspired Image Comics series is incredible. And if you need a place to read or watch those, I have videos where I do some voices and read those comics to you. So issue 5 is coming up on Valentine's Day. Be ready for that. And until next time, this is Autobot Dawson Gaming, rolling out.